Welcome everybody to PAPAPRENEUR Show. This is season number 2, and we're keeping our promise of changing the paradigm of fatherhood one interview at a time. This podcast is produced by Family Filmmaker. Welcome everyone to PAPAPRENEUR Show. So this is season 2. Tonight is episode 7. And we need to tell you that we are stoked about our guest for tonight. We've been in contact for a couple of weeks now, and today we're going to dive into some very cool stuff. So, if you're new to the show, remember, you can listen to PAPAPRENEUR Show in every platform. You can go to YouTube, you can go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. You name it, we got it. And tonight we're going Facebook Live all the way to Florida, where we are going to chat with Flor Mercado, aka That Style 99. So welcome to the show.
Ivan, thank you so much for having me. It's been a great pleasure just connecting with you over the last couple of weeks, a few weeks since that 2.0. So thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. So right at the end of the summit, that 2.0, I had like a vision. I said I need to walk through the chat where people is like connecting and shaking hands and whatnot, and Flor just like pop. You know, when somebody's in a room and you need like, I know I need to talk to this person. So thank you very much for accepting my invitation. I know it's been a rough week, and probably before you present yourself, you can help us with telling us how's your week so far, because it's been a crazy one. Hey.
Yeah, it's been extremely crazy. About a week and a half ago, I was on my way to pick up my daughter. I got into a car accident. Someone just ran into the back of me, smashed my car. A few days later, found out it was a total loss. So
Holy
I
macaroni.
lost my car. So then I had to quickly try to find another car, which I'm happy to say today I finally picked up my next car. So I am no longer carless, and I'm okay. Thankfully, I think that was the biggest thing is both drivers were fine. Nobody was injured, but my car was very much injured.
Well, which is a lot to say, because if a car is totaled and everybody is safe and sound, it means like, wow, like
Yes.
all good. So we're super glad to have you here. Flor lives in Florida, specifically in Miami. So for those of you that have never been there, distances are like a crazy thing. And I think it's growing into an audience of people to listen to podcasts, because the commutes are so long that you can choose your podcast on the way home and on the way to work. So on that note, Flor also blogs, and he speaks on parenthood day in, day out, and that's one of the reasons we have him here. His motto at the front page on the blog is "Different dads, same goals." So why don't you start by elaborating a little bit on that for our audience here?
Yeah. So I believe each parent has their own style of parenting. And a lot of us as parents, just out of good intentions, we like to offer advice and let people know what worked for them, or what to do. But I think at the end of it all, you're going to gather all that information and parent your own way, be your own style. And what I don't want people to do is be like someone else. So I think it's important to share that us as parents, as fathers, we all have the same goal. We're passionate about what we do, passionate about fatherhood, about parenthood. We all love our children the same, and we would do anything for them, but we all do it differently. And I think that's important, and that's what I really like to share is be your own style, and we're all going to get to the end result the same. We're all going to show that we're passionate about fatherhood, but just do it your own way.
Yeah, absolutely. it's not a matter of following or mimicking. It's just a matter of understanding and being open to learn that there are other ways to do the same thing. So here in Canada, I don't know elsewhere in the world, but they say there are many ways to skin a cat. I don't know where that saying came from, but it all boils down to, we can we can do things differently, and still reaching our goals. And by the way, speaking of doing things differently, I see you're, like, pretty neat, and your image transmits somebody that is really confident and whatnot. So I was a little bit scared, on a personal note, because my wardrobe choices are not the best. And when I read that style, I was like, wait a second, am I gonna be learning about, fashion and that kind of things? So I went and read your bio, and I know that you started with a different name for your for this idea of blogging.
Yeah, of course. So when I first started on Instagram, I honestly didn't know what I was going to do, but I really had like kind of it was almost like a hobby. There was, I like to put pieces together. I'm a big fan of ties. I have tons of ties, and just dressing up and looking good. So it started out that way, where I just put some pieces together and would take pictures of them, do flat lays, and kind of show people how they look, of all the pieces separately and then on. So that was fun for a while, but I quickly began to realize I wasn't a big trendsetter. And a couple of posts I have actually put up with my daughter, small things. It was maybe her birthday, or I was just, just proud to be a dad. Now, I got a lot of positive feedback from those posts, and it made me feel good of the comments I was getting, and it made me realize that I'm proud to be a father. I'm proud to be a dad, and it's probably one of the best jobs I've ever had in the world. So my direction on my Instagram kind of changed a little bit, where then I changed the name from Grid Style 99 to Dad Style 99. And a lot of people took the style, which it was in the beginning of like fashion,
Mm-hmm.
but I started to then looking at it and saying, well, it's not just style is not just about fashion. Style is about how you do something.
Yeah.
It can be about how you dress. It can be how you make dinner. It could be how you play with your kids. It could be whatever way it is, how you like to have fun. So I made it very, very broad in general, but mostly to fatherhood, because I've, when I started being a dad, I got those messages where it was like, oh, you should do this, you should do that, do it this way, do it that way, because I know I've done it before,
Yeah.
which is great. I always love to take the advice. However, I started to take that advice and just do what I like to do, and how I like to order and teach her things, things that I thought was really cool to learn, or things that I, and I just did it my own way. And it then became something to just encourage other dads to be their own style. Like, be your own style. You don't have to be like anybody else, because your child is going to know who their dad is. You don't want them saying, oh, you're just so and so. You're just like my friend's dad. You know, don't try to be that dad. Try to be your own dad. Try to be in your own way, your own style, because that's what your child is going to remember the most. That's what's going to be the biggest impact to them. That's what they're going to remember years and years down the road, is how my dad was. So I think that was very important for me to just encourage others to do the same, which is how Dad Style 99 came about. And 99 has been a number that's been a part of me forever. So with Dad Style 99 is kind of like 99 being my own style of parenting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the Dad Style 99 is me.
So the 99 comes down to your own staple, your own landmark, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
99 has been a number for me when I played football when I was younger. My favorite football player has
Yeah.
99. I mean, and my birthday is September 9th, so it's like the ninth month, the ninth day. So that number just, it kind of represented me in in a way that has stuck with me forever. And dad style 99 is just 99 is just my way of doing it. They can be dad style somebody else, that's just their way of doing it. So I just wanted to represent what I was about, but also
Mm.
encourage those to do the same.
Wow, so I haven't realized until now that you're explaining so much in detail that it's actually a triad, right? So it's that because that's what you found down the road when you started, you didn't know how to approach it, and then you chose, the dad
Mhm.
figure as yourself, and then the
Yep.
style not at all necessarily towards fashion, but just finding your own way, and then the staple and the trademark
Yep.
being 99, just a number that is recurrent in your life since you were a kid, right?
Yep.
So I think it comes very handy when we try to explain the things that we touch bases upon on every episode. So Papapreneur, what tries to do, or the goal that we have, is inspiring people to actually believe that the things that they want to do are possible, right? And I kind of
Hmm.
corrected myself there because I didn't mean to say try. I said when you are in for it, you go and do it, right? So we have a favorite Star Wars character here that says, "Do or do not." There is no try. So yes, we are all on this quest that you are describing. And back to you, why don't you describe in very brief words a regular day of yours, because we know a big part of your daily routine has evolved with co-parenting. So many parents out there are just trying to figure out what's the proper amount of balance in, okay, should I do this kind of activities, or should I just jump to the next one, or should I just go and schedule the kid with a bunch of stuff? So what's your vision? What's your take on this kind of when we talk about routine and co-parenting?
Co-parenting is um, more than likely a lot of people are struggling with it. It's a challenge. It's not something that's easy, but it's very possible to do. Anybody could make it successful. It's all comes down to how what what the parents' priorities are, and which should be the child. If the child is the priority and you want to do everything possible as parents to make sure the child has what they need, then co-parenting begins to get a little bit easier. What happens is some parents who have separated or divorced really let anger or resentment or jealousy get in the way of things, which then takes over the emotions. And now you're not really focusing on the child's needs. You're focusing on your own needs because you're upset of how things ended. You're mad at the other parent, and all you want to do is sometimes get even. But that, for one, is not good for yourself because you're really just holding yourself back. You're restricting yourself from just living your life, from continuing your life. And the most important one, your child is in the middle of all of this, and it affects the child. So co-parenting has been a challenge for me for some time from the very beginning. And I've tried ways in communicating. And I'm not the best at communicating. It's something that I struggle with, and I try
Mm-hmm.
to improve. So I tried, my best to make sure that my child was always a priority, number one, no matter what, regardless of my needs or her mom's needs. I tried to make sure that my daughter was the focus. And then, of course, once that's met, I wanted to ensure that, both parents have what they needed. But I think in the very beginning, it was a lot of maybe anger that got in the way of things. Um, and it just made it very challenging. But I think once those obstacles were passed, which came down to just really being adults, having that
Mm-hmm.
communication, that conversation where it's like, look, you know, I've moved on, you've moved on. We need to really focus on our own life. focus on our own personal goals, but also having the main priority, which is the child, having the child as a priority as well, because that is the ultimate goal, is making sure that the child has what she needs or he needs, and also letting them know that both parents are still involved and are still active, because that's important to have that, for that child, is to make sure that everybody's involved. So I think that's been a struggle, something that I've struggled with in the beginning, but I am happy to say that things have gotten better. And this is probably the longest time that has passed where we haven't had really any issues. Communication has been great.
That's good.
And my daughter has everything she needs, and it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, dedication, and just making sure you prioritize correctly so that the child is not affected, which will then make co-parenting so much easier, because it's not something that it's easy at all. Some people struggle with it daily. Some people have struggled with it for years and years, and it has gotten easier for them. But there is a way to make it better. It's possible, because I'm living that right now, and I always like to encourage those to really just put a lot of things in the past. Whatever happened in the past, put it behind you, move forward, because it's only going to restrict you from living your life, and that's not fair to you. It's not fair to the child. So, I mean, just taking that first step is all it takes.
And so, in your experience, for parents that could be facing a similar situation, what are the things that you consider that are improving communication for you?
Well, there was a lot of, I guess, slight unfairness, to try to meet one schedule, whether it's, your personal schedule, work schedule. And sometimes this is a little bit difficult to pass that. I understand, sometimes with work, there's things that can't happen. But I think with proper communication, so for example, some of the things we did is really try to communicate way ahead of time in terms of our work schedule, our personal schedule, not anything last minute that you decide to do, unless it's an emergency, is only going to create problems, because now you're putting one of the other parents in a really tight situation that they may not have been prepared for. So I think really communicating schedules like that way ahead of time, 2-3 weeks, whatever works for you guys,
And following through.
definitely helps. Yes, of course. And sometimes emergencies happen, and which is completely understandable. And I think it's really falls down to the parents on how they can support the other parent as best possible, depending on this, on the emergency. And it doesn't happen often, but it does. And I've had, a couple happen to me or to her mom, where we needed to just act quickly and just make things happen. So, thankfully those have been worked out. But the first couple of ones, it wasn't that easy.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, I can't do this, I can't do that. You're going to have to take her. I don't know what to do, and I'm gonna drop her off at your house. And it's like, okay, well, I can't. I need to leave. I need to take a long trip or something like that. But I think down the road, once we saw what the communication was doing, it made the relationship and it made the teamwork and co-parenting better. So I think communication is definitely key, and things to help with that is just really trying to do things in advance, communicate any changes to the schedule, any needs that you may have, but also considering fairness altogether, and just being and compromise. Compromise is the big one, not just in a relationship, but even in a marriage or whatever it is. Compromise is huge, even with divorced couples. So I think once all those boxes are checked, communication will start to get better.
So I believe people tuning into the show can find helpful advice in these comments that are, of course, part of your own experience and the path that you have walked. Now, on that path, Flor, what's the role that friendship plays? Because I have found myself, I have a 5-year-old. Well, oh my goodness, a 6-year-old. He just turned 6, and a 2-year-old. So I have found myself many times too far away from my good old friends, because of this whole parenting thing. And I have to take full responsibility. I think it has to do with my parenting style. But as I always say, every interview that I had the pleasure to to share with people, I grab a piece of the puzzle. So maybe if you have that figured out, how to balance with friendship and are you keeping an active relationship with your friends from from if you're from Florida and you've been in Florida your whole life, you must have lifelong friends right next, at the distance of a phone call, right? So why don't you share with us a little bit about that?
Well, I think definitely having your circle as close to you as possible definitely helps. You're one of your biggest support system outside of your family. Essentially, they become your family, and I think as you get older, your your circle of friends gets smaller and smaller. And sometimes it's not a bad thing. Other friends that you have, they go their separate routes, they go their separate ways, they have their separate interests, and sometimes your friendship kind of begins to distant. But there are those few friends, and some may have one, some may have three. Those friends stay with you. I mean, if they're there today from years ago, that's special. That's special to have. And I think in my case, my best friend, who's also a father of two, and now going to be expecting his third one, it's nice to have that because we just for one, we're best friends. We always go back in time and just talk about the good times we had, and just talk about the learnings that we've gone through, that we've experienced, even challenges that we go through. I mean, we really rely on each other as a support system.
Mm-hmm.
If he's going through something, he gives me a call, he vents and we talk about it. If I'm going through some stuff, I do the same. So I think that's really special to have, especially during this time of us being in a pandemic and just going through all kinds of changes that we weren't really prepared for,
Yeah.
or even how to prepare our children for it. So I think having friends like that, a good support system, and not just friends. I think in other dads who are going through maybe something similar as you, or have figured something out that they can share with you. It's just nice to have a good team. I would like to call it a team of dads and your friends to support you through all of this. And having that communication definitely helps to keep things a little bit sane, of course, outside of family.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, somebody to work as a how do they call that in English? Like a soundboard, when you kind of bounce ideas off and try to come to a better solution or a better outcome.
Yep.
So yes, your proximity network, your close network of friends and
Hmm.
family, that's an well invaluable support for parenting and also for any kind of difficult situation.
Yes.
So I think we can make a little bit of a small break in the show because we've reached half of the show, and perhaps we can jump into one of my favorite sections here in season 2 of PAPAPRENEUR Show. I briefly talked to Flor about this off air, so he doesn't know the questions that are coming. So my question to you, Flor, is: are you ready for the rapid fire question section?
Let's do it.
So today at Papapreneur Show, we have Flor Mercado, aka That Style 99, and he just confessed to the camera that he's actually ready for the challenge.
Let's do it.
So let's just warm up. Let's say, where are you originally from? And then, are you married? Do you have kids? And yeah.
Yep. So I'm originally from Miami, and I've actually moved to Orlando about 4 or 5 years ago. But Miami is my home. It's my heart. I miss it, and I am divorced, but I'm currently in a relationship. I have been in a relationship for almost 4 years now, and I just a dad to a daughter. but in the relationship, we also have a 20-year-old. So there's a big age gap there, but it's nonetheless a lot of fun. So, yep. Oh, and um, I so originally from Miami, but my family is from Puerto Rico, so I can't forget that. Families from Puerto Rico. They are from Arecibo and Comerío, is where they come from.
Right on. All right. So that's a nice warm up for the section. And here we're having some comments from all time listeners. La señora Freites Nelly dice, mi sección favorita, my favorite section. And then Lina Acacio from here from Calgary, which happens to be my mom and fan number one of the show, says, mine too. And hearts, hearts, hearts. Speaking about the previous section, Amerindia says, definitely the pandemic has forced us to work as a team. What are you obsessed about?
Ooh, man, what am I obsessed about? So besides fatherhood, I want to say part of my obsession is for two things come to mind. One is playing football, which I have done for a long time, and another one is cars. I love cars and doing things to them and working on them, taking them apart, and that's
Oh,
something I get from my dad. Yeah, so I've always enjoyed doing that.
that's why you were telling me that for this new car that you're getting, yeah, it's not a deal breaker that you didn't get oil changes for life because you don't mind doing it yourself.
Exactly. Yep.
Right on. All right. So, next question for you. What is your happy place?
My happy place, oh, I gotta say it's my daughter. Being a co-parent, I don't have her every day. I get her every other week, and when I get her, that just changes my world around. It definitely just makes me feel good about who I am. Just seeing her, especially seeing her smile, it just changes everything for me. That she is my happy place.
That's beautiful. How old's your daughter again?
She is 8 years old.
8 years old. Wow. Well, time flies by. Absolutely, definitely, and so we need to treasure those moments. So, next question is a quick
Oh
and
yeah.
easy one. What's the farther away you've been from your hometown, and why?
Ooh, the furthest I've been away from home was, I think, when I had to take a job to do a training for a news store in Mexico City. That was probably the furthest I've ever been. It was a different experience. It was nice to see the culture there and just how life is. Living there, seeing it outside of the U.S. It's very interesting. It was a great experience. I met some wonderful people, and I had a blast. It's definitely a memory I will always cherish.
Right on. And how about virtually?
Virtually, um, like the furthest I've been from home. Let me see. I don't know. I guess I've spoken to people from Canada. I think I met somebody from France, which was really cool. I think through the Dat 2.0, that
Hmm.
was interesting as well. We connected on social media, so it's nice to, I guess, know somebody now almost on the other side of the world. So that's really
Man, and,
really
and having
interesting.
a
I've
different
Mhm.
perspective on things. Yeah, that summit for the ones that are wondering about, and maybe you didn't tune into past episodes. That summit has been going on for probably like 12 years now. And due to the pandemic, due to the necessity of connecting in different ways, um, I just got an invitation through WhatsApp uh, from a common friend, Sergio, soy super papa, arroba soy super papa. And he told me, man, how come you're promoting parenthood and you're talking about, being a father and all the challenges and you didn't know about this? So he invited me, and then I was just like, I need to be there for next year. I think it's in Los Angeles, right?
It was supposed to be in Los Angeles, the one that happened in October, but because of the pandemic, they went social. Everything was through virtual. So the next one, I'm not sure where it's going to be located at, but they're going to try as long as things, get a
Oh,
little
they
bit better
shift
with
cities
the
by the
pandemic.
year. Mm.
Yeah, they changed it. They had one in February that was in DC, in Washington
Oh,
DC.
Right on. So
Yep.
you see, I still need to do more research. So back to our
Yeah.
rapid fire questions. This is a fun one, and it has to do with your household, and it's the eternal debate on how to put the toilet paper out of the wall. For you, is it over or under, and why?
It has to be over.
Yeah, that's my team
Has to
too.
be over.
Okay, any reason to it?
I don't know. I just find that it's easier. It's easier to grab. It's already right there in the front. And if it's under, I change it.
Yeah, last week I had a couple. Like my guest in the show was a couple, like a marriage, and they told me
Hmm.
if I am at somebody's place and I found it the other way, I will change it, and I will go and tell them you have to change it from now on.
That's funny.
All right, next question for you, Flor. When you're dining in and whatnot, and you're with your girlfriend,
Hmm.
and you're sitting, about to eat, do you sit in front of her or beside her, and why?
We sit across from each other and just basically just makes it easier for conversation and just to look at each other.
Romantically. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Now, shifting gears a little bit, what things from fatherhood have changed you in a way that you could apply to the rest of your life?
That's a really good question. I think I've always been a patient person, but I think I have taken patience to a different level, um, just experiencing fatherhood alone, because there's tons of challenges that you go through, and sometimes you beat yourself up because you're like, oh, I could be a better father, or I messed up. But I think patience is a game changer, because if you just apply the patience, just like in parenting, things will get better. There's a lot of learning situations, there's a lot of challenges and obstacles that we all go through, but obstacles are not forever. Challenges are not forever.
Hmm.
They're temporary. And I think the patience um, allows you the time to surpass those challenges, to surpass those obstacles that you encounter. And it makes you a wiser person. It's something else that you've learned that you wouldn't have learned, a second ago, because you've encountered a challenge. You came up to a problem that you didn't have the answer to. And I think the patience just allows you to really stop and think the situation for what it is, and finding a way on how to overcome it, how to pass it, find ways to just, how can I get the answer to this? So I think just fatherhood in general has helped me to do that, especially when I got divorced and I was on my own for some time. I was a dad to a daughter. Dads don't know a lot of stuff about girls like that. So I really needed to, it was frustrating at times, but I really needed to stop and just tell myself that the information is out there. I have the support. If I actually need it, I can look for it, I can get the answers, and I can figure out how to be the best dad to a girl possible. If I need to learn how to brush hair, learn how to take care of the hair, what to do for her as she gets older, things for her to learn, things that I can learn on how to support her when she encounters, those different changing moments in her life. So I think that really helped me, and just having that patience, and really just not telling myself anymore that I messed up. I'm a bad father. I can't believe I did this, or I missed that, or I broke something.
Yeah.
I really stopped beating myself up, because challenges are there, obstacles are there, they're going to happen, and honestly, I look forward to those challenges, because that just makes me that much smarter. That gives me something else that I've learned. It makes me more knowledgeable. So when that happens again, I know how to approach the situation. So I'm thankful for all the opportunities and challenges and obstacles that I've encountered, because it's made me who I am today.
Right on. Powerful messages right there. So yeah, this is Wow, I am loving having this conversation with you tonight, Flor. This is very powerful.
Thank you.
So the last question takes us to a little bit of a reflection and considering things from our past and our future. So for you, how would you like to be remembered when you are no longer here?
That's another good question. I think just looking back at the challenges that I've gone through and how I overcame them, not just as me as an individual, but I think just I guess trying to be the example for others that it's possible. It's possible to get, through these challenges. We get hurt, we get knocked down, we fall, and things are hard sometimes, and sometimes you don't have the support system you need. But with going back to patience, with the right patience, and I think that the determination to look for the knowledge, I think it's what's going to carry you to the next step. I think that's what's going to push you forward. And I want everybody to look back at me and just think that, you know, if when I think of Flor, I know it's possible. It's possible. This is only temporary. It's going to get through because, I've done it. I've been there. Am I going to get through more challenges? Of course. Challenges are going to happen. Challenges may happen tomorrow. But I think just being positive in general has helped me overcome a lot of situations. And so I think that just that positivity and determination is what I want everybody to remember when it comes to me, but to also apply it to themselves because it's a game changer.
Right on. I agree. Challenges are everywhere, and it's up to us how to face them and looking up for people that, at least to us, can be an example of. There is a very classical example in the Olympics and breaking the world record on the 500 meters or something like that. So after 1964, when the first athlete broke that record, so many other athletes started doing it because they saw somebody doing it. They thought, well, if this guy can do it, I can train hard enough and I can be committed and I can put my mind to it and my body in the athletic condition to do it. Then they did it. So
Of course.
yeah, so it's the nature of mankind, right? So I guess what we need is reminders from time to time, and I hope at least every Thursday when you tune in and see PAPAPRENEUR Show, you get a glimpse of that, and maybe you can do the ripple effect that we were talking about. And that brings us to the end of rapid fire questions for Flor Mercado. The opportunity that I have when I place that question about being remembered is because at Family Filmmaker, what we do, the company, the video production company that I founded when my oldest boy was born, one of the things that we do is that we help families, picking that brain and touching those emotions and see what's really important. So being remembered is just a trigger. It's just an emotional trigger for people to start thinking, what am I really doing in the present time? What have I done? And how can I just think about the future, right? For me and for my family and for the people that loves me, because maybe we will not be here tomorrow to tell the story. So why not telling it today, right?
Right.
So let's go a little bit for the comments because they are scrolling down and I need to catch up because we are going to the next section of the show. So Lina says, absolutely. That's in regard to your consideration from the last question. And then Amerinia says, excellent, in regards to the same question. And now here it says, he's a wonderful father. His happy place is his daughter. And as a divorced father, he has many challenges. Since brushing her hair, ... You can imagine from that point on all the things that we have to learn as, fathers, because kids will not come with a manual of instructions. The
They
next
sure don't.
comment is, Flor is indeed an indisputable and incredibly awesome dad. My respect and admiration to you, Flor. And
Thank you both to what is it, Amerindia and Lina. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. It really does.
yeah, so thank you very much for tuning every week. This means a lot because it means that we are on the right path. Our very braggy goal is changing the paradigm of fatherhood one interview at a time. And without you that are watching every week, and without you, our fabulous guest, this would not be possible. So, Flor, we're just reaching the end of the show. We have space for one more question that looks into the future, because if we, if we kind of pick our brains and think about the things that are going on, it's impossible not to think about the challenges that are lying ahead of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we are visual storytellers, and we have made a lot of, trial and error mistakes and whatnot. So if there's anything with your social media or your show or your blogging, or I don't know, the lights that you're using to light up yourself for broadcasting, if there's anything lying ahead of you that poses as a challenge, or something that is impeding you to create your own podcast or your content, anything on that regard, is there anything in front of your, next month or next 2 months that you don't know how to how do you say that, tackle on that technical side? Maybe we can be of help here, and we can brainstorm the last 3 or 4 minutes of the show.
That's actually a question I ask myself all the time: is how can I make use of my time the most efficiently and effectively? And I think with co-parenting, sometimes it does become a struggle. But what I have done on the since I have my daughter every other week, I try to take care of all my personal stuff when my daughter's not here, and then when she's here, I try to spend as much time as possible with her. Now, sometimes 2 weeks will go by, and I'm like, oh my god, I didn't get nothing done. I didn't get to write a blog. I didn't get to do a video. I didn't post anything on Instagram. So what I started to do is actually do a lot more footage of just the simplest things, and it's just me spending time with my daughter. And maybe I'm brushing her hair. She washed her hair. I blow dried it. I brushed it and just make sure she was good to go for school the next day. Maybe it's we're going outside to play and do something different, or just a few weeks ago, I went to go teach her how to fish. Now, I decided to just document that because I thought that was a really cool moment of me trying to teach her how to fish. She's never done it before. It was her first time. We didn't catch anything, but she had such a good time. So I
Yeah.
think that was also important. And that's video that I recorded that I will actually be editing and kind of posting it on social media, to show everybody. Because I think it was an amazing time for me, even though we didn't catch anything. We went freshwater fishing, which I've never done in my life. I've always gone fishing in the sea, but not freshwater. I knew nothing about it, and I
Freshwater is
failed
what,
horribly at it.
near the shore, like shallow water.
Yeah, like finding a lake or a
Mm,
pond or something like that nearby. So we
I
did
see.
that, which I've never done before. We've tried using worms to fish. I've never done that before. So it was almost like a mess, but we had such a good time, and she enjoyed it. She loved it, and she was already like, "When are we gonna do it again?" So it's those moments that I cherish the most, and it's those moments that I want to share with everybody. So I to try to find content was always difficult. But and then I started thinking to myself, like, I have the content right in front of me. Like,
Hmm.
this is what I do. Fatherhood is my passion. And these little moments that I spend with her is what's important to me. So I decided to just started, documenting those and videotaping those, and I think it's been great. And my daughter, she loves being in front of the camera. So sometimes she's like, "Oh, Daddy, are we gonna record this?" It's like, "Well, of course, let's do it." So,
Oh, I
so,
was gonna
so
ask
we
you about
always.
her typical reaction when we grab a camera. Like I've been around cameras for the last, I don't know, 20 years. So my 6-year-old is kind of used to it. But then it depends on the mood. So I think what I'm going to grab as a learning piece from this story is you are not, by all means, couldn't be far from reality. You are not going after the content. You're going after the moments, and because the moments are already happening, what you're only doing is just connecting the dots and say, well, this is me, and this is my life, and this is our experience, father and daughter, and then you're making it possible. Now, are you taking those? Is the footage that you're taking edited, or you just grab a simple clip and that goes straight to social media?
Sometimes it's something as simple as just a really quick clip that I'll use, and sometimes it's several videos during a specific moment that I need to go ahead and edit and put out together. But because it's something that she's involved in, she also enjoys the editing piece. So I tell her like, "Oh, look, this is what I've done so far," and she sees it and she loves it. And then I pick her up from school the next day. She'll ask me, "Daddy, did you finish the video?" It's like, "Oh, not yet. I'm still working on it. Daddy had
Right
to work all
on.
day or something." So she's very much into it. She knows all about Dad Style 99 and everything she does. She's like, "Oh, Dad Style 99. This is your Dad Style 99." So she's really she motivates me and inspires me to just start doing stuff. Sometimes when I'm like, "Oh, I don't have time," and she just comes out of the corner doing something silly and she wants to have fun, I'm like, "Yeah, you know what, let's do it."
That's amazing. That's super. Yeah. So they are into it, and they are also born probably with a different chip than we were born with. Like, they are used to devices and smartphones and touch screen and whatnot. So why not taking, with the responsibility that carries that exposure, but then again, in a relaxed manner, having fun, and as Lena is saying, moments worth to be treasured make the best contents. So yes,
Yep.
absolutely, and I think we share, now that you are sharing those moments and the passion behind those, we're sharing the same thing with our storytelling. Sometimes people will just capture those and just leave them in their cell phone, right? And
Yeah.
doing nothing with it because we start overthinking. So I guess the other nugget of information is, let's try not to overthink. But it's difficult not to. It's difficult to realize when you're overthinking because you're in the middle of it, right?
Oh
So
yeah, I for a long time I struggled with that. I took tons of pictures. I did so much video, and I was always like, "Ah, it's not perfect," or "the lighting is bad," or I was in a wrong angle or something like that. But to be honest, it's never going to be perfect. What's perfect is the content, and I think Lena said it great. It's those moments. That is what is great content. It's not the lighting. It's the message. It's what you see. Nobody, when they're listening to the message, nobody cares about the lighting. Nobody cares about the angle you're in. They're looking at the story. They're looking at the message, and I think that's
yeah,
what's important.
yeah, yeah. I think I'm. That's the puzzle. That's the piece of the puzzle that I'm gonna take with me, because I have this thing about not having the video done the way that I wanted to do it. Then I don't launch it, and because I don't launch it, nobody sees it, and then it's like a dog biting his own tail.
Hmm.
So, with all that said, Flor, we have reached the end of the show. So I think we have like 20 more seconds for a final comment on fatherhood. Your journey is amazing. I admire what you share with us today. I wish
Thank
I
you.
can have you another time, maybe for season 3. And
Sure.
yeah, please go ahead and share with our audience at Papapreneur anything that's new and exciting for the moment. If you have any launching, if you have any participation in a book that you were telling me about, this is the perfect moment to call it.
Well, actually, I had some ideas, and there's something that I'm looking into to see if I do it maybe sometime next year, is to come out with. So I have this shirt that I made for myself that I got a lot of positive feedback. And it was just basically the meaning of dad style, because a lot of people see style and think of fashion. So what I did was I broke down the meaning and gave a definition to dad style and made it into a shirt. And I think I'm going to look into making that where, available for whoever is interested in having it. And I think the message is great, because the meaning is a father who passionately parents in his own manner. And it goes back to what we were saying, everybody needs to have your own style, be your own style. Don't beat someone else's style. Don't be something, that you think is right. Be what you feel is right. What you feel in your heart is who you should be. And there's nothing wrong about it. You just have to own it and just believe in it. And I think that is my biggest message to everybody is just be your own style. There's no right or wrong.
Mhm.
It's your way, and that is the right way.
Absolutely. So that's another powerful message. So we're just like, so hopefully you can leave, guys, in the comments below what's your biggest nugget of, powerful messages that we're sharing today. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And after you subscribe, you need to click on the little bell icon, because that's the way that you will get notifications on when we are launching these kind of videos with powerful messages, inspiring information, and other ideas that we just pick the brains out of our guests here, like we did with Flor tonight, all the way from Florida. So Flor, many thanks for your time today, and also many thanks for the passion that you're putting into being an advocate of fatherhood. Really appreciate it. I will follow all of your accounts. I'm already following some of them, and we will keep in touch. It's a very big pleasure having the opportunity to connect with you, for real.
Yeah, thank you, Ivan. This has been amazing. I always love the opportunity to get to share my story, but also hope to encourage others to just, do the same, because I think there's not enough fathers sharing their story. And I think a lot of them could be life changing, not only for themselves, but for many out there who could potentially help someone, even if it's one person. Like we talked about earlier, it's like that trickle effect. And that's something special. The fatherhood community has been growing, and there's a huge support system out there for those who are listening who have maybe been hesitant. I think this is a perfect example of showing that, dads like you and I are here to support many out there. And this podcast, this YouTube video, Facebook Live could be the key to get through somebody, to maybe, encourage them or give them the courage to share their story or to take that positive step forward
Even
that
if
they've
it's
been wanting to
one
take.
person. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, thanks a lot. Thanks again. And to all of you that are watching the entire show until the end, our true appreciation, a small announcement on next week's guest. We are going to have Sergio Rosario, and he's from Soy Super Papa, one of the things that one of the platforms that help us connect with Flor and other amazing parents. So next week at 8 p.m. Mountain Time here in Calgary, we're gonna have Sergio all the way from the States. And then yes, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also watch this video live on Facebook on Family Filmmaker, and also Family Filmmaker. Please, of course, remember that Family Filmmaker is our video production company here in Calgary. We're serving our audiences both in English and Spanish. And we are proud to be visual storytellers. So this podcast is just an example of the things we can do together. So please, if you have questions, leave it on the comments below. And otherwise, you can write an email to podcast@familyfilmmaker.ca. with all that said, we are going to say goodbye and see you guys next week.